Good evening. Welcome to Around the World with Dee and Friends. And tonight we're going to be talking about what's up with the AIPAC Lobbyists and U.S. Congress. There were recent meetings that were held, and we're going to talk about that. And I'm very happy to have my good friend here, Greg of Revolution Evolution. And I'm using his channel right now. I'm grateful for that. I've had issues with my channel, YouTube channel, and Greg's helping out. And I want to say hello to Steve Wolfbrandts in the comments. Hello, Steve.
Howdy, Steve. How are you this evening, my friend?
So, Greg, what do you think with all this with AIPAC?
I think what we need to do is we need a full-fledged dump the corruption movement underway now, starting with candidates like a Jason Call of Washington State's 2nd Congressional District, along with state legislative challenges all up and down the ballot in our states who are against all of this, especially with them pushing through with a TikTok ban, which has enraged many generations across the board, particularly the younger Gen X generation, the portion of that generation, millennials and Gen Z, who are all equally as pissed. There's been a lot of small business owners that have taken to TikTok as well, saying that that's going to do more harm for them and their businesses, and it's going to hurt them if TikTok goes in late September, early October. So I hope the two-party system is happy with the bed they made, because it's not a really good bed at all. And I saw something here earlier that correlates with this. And this is from our friend CJ with Revolutionary Blackout Network. And it's a very, very true statement that he makes here, where he says this year's October surprise will be the TikTok ban going into effect. If the Senate and President pass and sign in the TikTok ban bill, the 180-day grace period to either sell or what have you will end in late September or early October. Biden will truly be effed with 30 days left until the election. Great planning, Biden team.
All because they got to listen to AIPAC. They got to listen to who they're, where the money's coming from. Their campaign donations. The American Jewish Federation, the North American Jewish Federation is behind the TikTok ban. So you got AIPAC and all of them lobbying Congress.
They've been lobbying this for a while now, and I found like a very interesting graph where the pro-Israeli stuff was only getting maybe 2 to 3 million hits on TikTok, whereas the pro-Palestinian content on TikTok was getting between 2 and 300 million. So it's a 1 to 66 to 1 to 100 ratio right there.
And that's what the problem is.
Numbers.
Yeah, so they do not want us to
see anything going on, which we already know, and that's already hurt the two major parties that are backed by AIPAC. And we need to be looking into who's funding the 352 members of the U.S. House of Representatives, along with all 100 U.S. senators. I don't know how many of them will vote in favor of the bill, to see where their funding is coming from and who they are taking money from, especially in terms of AIPAC, which is causing genocide, ethnic cleansing, dire hunger, which now they're trying to say is a lie. They're trying to say that everything that we have seen is just outrageous lies and outlandish lies.
Yes, your eyes were lying to you, what you saw and what you read. They want the Israeli narrative to be the narrative. So shut down with what you already saw. And as you know, people that watch the show, we've been talking about the issue
It's like it's like
for over
you remember that movie Men in Black?
Yes.
You remember that little stick thing that they walked up with and they kind of mashed a button on there and it wiped out your memory? That's what they're wanting you to do. It's like that right there, but on steroids. They're wanting you to erase that from your memory. But we know what we saw. The whole world knows what we saw. That's why the whole world is in uproar over this. And they are in a dire panic because they have lost the narrative. The narrative is dead now.
Right. Now, today is Islamophobia Day, International Islamophobia Day. And who are the ones that push it? It's AIPAC and the lobbyists. They push Islamophobia. And somehow they think that that is okay.
Mm-hmm. When in reality, it's far from okay.
Exactly. So they preach hate for somebody else. And they think that's okay.
And what they don't, and they were trying to cry the whole anti-Semitic trope, but what they failed to realize, their actions too are anti-Semitic because they're targeting the largest block of Semitic speakers, which are the Arabic speakers.
Yes, and they don't tune into that.
It's like AIPAC has been behind the defining of what anti-Semitism is. They're trying to equate it with being anti-Jewish, which is a total farce, and that there puts the Jewish communities across the U.S. and around the world in even more dire harm. These lies and the weaponization of the Holocaust and Semitism is actually doing more harm to the Jewish communities than good. AIPAC is putting our Jewish communities across this country and around the world in even more harm and even more danger.
Exactly. And they don't see it because the issue here is, the problem is AIPAC, the Zionist lobby, and this whole Zionism issue. It has nothing to do with your average Jewish person. It's that whole political Zionism and what they're doing and what their plans are. How could anybody promote genocide, ethnic cleansing, and everything that's been going on? Well, we've been covering on the show for over a year. How could people support the tragedy of what they're doing to the Palestinian people? You're not human if you support that kind of thing.
No, you're not. These people are far from human if this is what they support.
Exactly, and they keep pushing it too.
And this even there's a newfound call for an Internet Bill of Rights, which guarantees constitutional protections for the internet that will snuff out internet censorship. We need an Internet Bill of Rights to ensure that there is no censorship of the internet. But that brings us into tonight's first article. And what is the talking points? And the AIPAC talking points are now revealed. Documents show that the powerful lobby is spreading its influence on Capitol Hill by calling for an unconditional military aid to Israel and hyping up threats from Iran, which there have never been any threats. National Harbor, Maryland. This week, approximately 1,600 foot soldiers from AIPAC congregated inside the garish yet functional Gaylord National Resort and Convention Center for the PAC's annual policy conference. It took place this year amid Israel's bloody war in Gaza, which has left at least 30,000. Well, new reports are saying over 40,000 dead, and it's turning into a critical wedge issue in the 2024 elections. Netanyahu addressed attendees by videocast along with Israeli ambassador to the U.S., Michael Herzog.
Oh, that guy.
According to an incomplete speaker list, the entire Democratic and Republican leaderships in Congress delivered remarks. Senators Chuck Schumer and Mitch McConnell and Reps Hakeem Jeffries and Mike Johnson, Uncle Fester, and Tim Burchett of Tennessee were both in attendance. In past years, the conference has been a media spectacle with a widely disseminated lineup of powerful speakers to showcase AIPAC's enduring political influence. This year, however, it was locked down with few social media posts and broadcast speeches, largely because of the threat of disruptions from anti-war protests. Well, there should have been anti-war protests. The goal of this year's low-key gathering was to fire up attendees for AIPAC's 2024 agenda before sending them off to Capitol Hill to strong-arm Congress on supporting Israel.
Ugh.
The prospect has obtained documents from the conference that preview the PAC's lobbying blitz on Capitol Hill this week. The documents reveal AIPAC's legislative strategy and talking points it will use to support unconditional $14 billion in military funding package, and thus far has been held up amongst other policy changes. They also include numerous positions on the aspects of the U.S. response to the war that has not been made public, from abolishing the UN Relief and Works Agency for Palestinian refugees in the Near East to opposing recent restrictions imposed by the Biden administration on Israeli settlers. There is no mention of a two-state solution. This is damning evidence that AIPAC is completely aligned with the far right of the Israeli government as tensions emerge between Netanyahu and the Biden administration, said Raed Jarar, Advocacy Director of Democracy for the Arab World Now. Though many of the policy positions are consistent with AIPAC's past advocacy, this trove of files offer a rare glimpse of the conversations the PAC holds with members of Congress behind closed doors and the arguments it's deploying. Though the primary motivation for the conference was lobbying, the event also informed members about the PAC's congressional spending plans. AIPAC has pledged to drop over $100 million on campaigns this election cycle to defeat any congressional candidates critical of Israel. This week, the PAC touted its prowess to members, dollar for dollar, the largest contributor to the candidates in the 2020 midterms via its super PAC United Democracy Project. One brochure pulls quotes from critical articles in The Intercept and Slate. Yeah, fuck Slate. as testaments to its preeminence and as an electoral juggernaut. AIPAC has long described itself as a bipartisan organization that endorses the full leadership of both parties, despite the fact that the financial disclosures show that many of its top donors overwhelmingly back GOP candidates, including Trump. Yet in 2022 and this year, almost all of AIPAC's electoral spending has come in Democratic primaries. This is a reason why leftists and progressives need to run outside of the two-party system.
Exactly.
At the conference, the lobby did not hide its slant in campaign funding. In one pamphlet given to conference attendees, the only featured Democrats were from safe blue state seats where they'd defeat more progressive anti-Israel candidates in the primary, such as Rep. Haley Stevens, Shontel Brown, and Glenn Ivey, which Shontel Brown, there more toward the end, defeated Nina Turner because of the DMFI funding.
Exactly.
The featured Republicans, however, either flipped their seats or represented highly contested frontline races held by only narrow margins. Those were Rep. Young Kim of California, Don Bacon of Nebraska, and Ken Calvert of California. It's been clear for several election cycles that AIPAC may sway the electoral map more for Republicans, but this document all signals that directly to its members. The pamphlet does try to refute charges that the lobby opposes all progressives. It takes a dig at its critics by claiming they have raised more money for endorsed Congressional Progressive Caucus members, which Joe Firestone and I have did an analysis on the CPC and all that, where they got 1.8 million, then left aligned groups, Justice Democrats, J Street, and Emily's List combined. But the talking points promoted the conference for its members to use on the Hill to tell a different story. They're exclusively directed at combating rhetoric and policy from Democrats, squad members, ceasefire advocates, and even President Biden, who has recently mildly criticized Netanyahu's handling of the war. The legislative packet is directed at defending Israel's military actions in Gaza against any calls for conditioning military assistance, as well as the findings of the ICJ investigation. AIPAC is also using the ongoing war and threat from Hamas to call for further sanctions against Iran, potentially pulling U.S. into a broader regional war, which we need to prevent.
Mm-hmm.
AIPAC is instructing members to make assertions of fact to congressional staff that are not supported by credible evidence other than the statements of the IDF, according to experts who reviewed the documents. They're going to the Hill to repeat a foreign government's talking points, said Matt Duss at the Center of International Policy, a former policy advisor to Bernie Sanders, which is a sheepdog.
Mm-hmm.
The lobby files promote the familiar. So this is more proof that our country is not infiltrated by neither China nor Russia. China and Russia have not infiltrated our country. Israel has.
Exactly.
And AIPAC is a surefire proof that we are, in fact, infiltrated by a foreign adversary.
Definitely.
It's just not the quote unquote adversary you're told to believe it is. The two countries that have never once been a threat to us, but yet they want to ban TikTok for lies and all that. The lobbying files promote the familiar, though contested, line that Israel does not target civilians, which is a lie. They have been targeting civilians since 1948.
Exactly.
This has been questioned due to the sheer body count of Palestinian civilians, women, and children during the war compared to the members of Hamas, along the statements, along with this. Yeah, this is just insane.
Mm-hmm.
State intentions by several officials to eliminate everything in Gaza. The IDF has justified the high casualty rate by saying that Hamas weaponizes civilians as human shields, yet the IDF has authorized airstrikes on these with dense civilian populations, such as hospitals and refugee camps, most recently at the Flower Massacre at the end of February, when the IDF opened fire on civilians gathered around an aid truck, killing over 100, which they're wanting us to be told that that's a lie. Everything you see and this other blah, blah, blah is a lie.
Yeah, you know what you saw.
Yeah, we know what we saw. We saw it just as clear as glass.
Exactly.
But even more controversial is that AIPAC is telling members of Congress that Israel is not blocking the delivery of aid to Gaza, which that's a lie.
Exactly. We've eyewitnessed that. We've read about it.
Eyewitness reports have witnessed all that. And reports of people that are starving in Gaza are false. Neither claim is supported by findings of international authorities nor recent actions undertaken by the U.S. government. Just last week, the U.S. dropped aid packages into Gaza, circumventing Israeli border officials. And the State of the Union address, Biden announced intentions to set up a port for deliveries. We know what that port's going to be for.
Exactly.
These actions were not only necessary because Israel has made it difficult to get aid through checkpoints, such as during one recent incident where the Israeli Navy fired at an aid convoy. The EU's foreign policy chief said that starvation in Gaza is being used as a weapon of war.
Mm-hmm.
AIPAC wants Congress to disregard not just credible international institutions, but their own eyes, and to simply take Israel's word for what's happening in Gaza in spite of the Israeli government's ongoing pattern of bullshit, said Omar Badar, a policy analyst on Middle Eastern affairs. Despite being a longtime donor and supporter of President Biden's, AIPAC's talking points also goes up on the attacks against him in recent remarks made, however, tepidly indicate a shift in tone. Biden has distanced himself from Netanyahu, embracing the language, if not the full meaning of ceasefire, or more recently indicated potential red line should Israel launch a ground invasion on the Gaza border city of Rafah. AIPAC dedicates an entire section of its file for members to rebuke the president's comments under the subhead, "Why is President Biden dictating Israel how to fight this war while simultaneously demanding military assistance from his government?" It also advises members to say concerns that conduct the war against Hamas are best delivered privately. So we know that they're trying to keep things under wraps from the public eye.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why they're also wanting to ban TikTok.
Yeah.
The documents reveal numerous advocacy positions that AIPAC is not forthright about publicly. They include opposing the Biden administration's memorandum on arms sales in February, which merely asks for written assurances from countries receiving aid that they are complying with existing laws. They also oppose recent U.S. sanctions against West Bank settlers who have engaged in violence against Palestinians. AIPAC deems those measures unnecessary.
Oh,
Though
really?
AIPAC, pardon?
I was gonna say, oh, really? You know, it's okay. You know, for terrorism against the Palestinians, from anybody.
Pretty much, that's what they're saying. Though AIPAC says it welcomes humanitarian assistance included in an emergency military package for Israel, it demands that none of that aid go through the UNRWA, even though the group has proven to be one of the most effective international vehicles for distributing assistance. That's because AIPAC is pushing for a complete defunding and abolition of UNRWA after reports by the IDF that a handful of its staffers were aiding Hamas. Hamas this, Hamas that, fuck this Hamas
And the
shit.
whole thing was false. The whole thing was
Yeah.
false.
The IDF has not provided evidence to back up those claims. AIPAC now indicates that it's open to standalone Israeli military aid package without Ukraine aid, which is significant in tactical change, according to Dylan Williams, Vice President for Government Affairs at the Center of International Policy, who used to work for J Street. AIPAC has sought Israel to be included within a broader bill, ostensibly because the principle says rising aid lifts all boats. Yeah, you're sinking your boat, dickheads.
Exactly.
This also had the effect of insulating Israel from potential challenges or conditions. The fact that AIPAC has now shifted to accepting a standalone bill that indicate a fracturing of the foreign aid NGO coalition because of the war, it could also mean that AIPAC believes it can exert enough pressure on members to go get the votes for Israel aid set aside from the messier politics of Ukraine funding and the border bill that it was originally attached to. So every time a spending bill, it's like, oh yeah, let's give money to Ukraine, let's give money to Taiwan, let's give money to Israel, but let's not give shit to the American public.
Mm-hmm. What about us?
We are, none of the Biden administration or anybody in Congress's policies are American first. I think this is why we're starting to see a new rise in American nationalism because of what the Biden-Harris administration have done. Not only them, but also our members of Congress. That's why we're starting to see more people echoing the America First deal that Trump has coined, because we are left behind. That's why.
Mm-hmm.
And even I am catching on to that American First deal. I'm guilty of it because I am so sick and tired of seeing my neighbors and people in my community struggle while all these other countries are being given everything with a golden spoon.
Mm-hmm. And there's no reason for it.
Yeah, that is not America First. That is Ukraine first, Israel first, Taiwan first. The hell with foreign aid. It does not do any good for anybody. Cut them off. I am also finding myself echoing the tone of Ron Paul lately, who I used to echo the tone big time between 08 and 2012 and all that.
Mm-hmm.
A striking theme across the conference and its legislative packet is focus placed on the threat from Iran, which is non-existent. In AIPAC's talking points, Hezbollah is mentioned nearly as much as Hamas, often in the same breath as proxies for Iran. An entire pamphlet from the conference is dedicated to the multi-front threat from seven different groups, not just in Gaza, but also across Lebanon, Syria, Iran, and Iraq. Iran and its terrorist proxies are waging war against the Jewish state. The pamphlet states, which is an even greater threat than Hamas. It's always about Hamas, which in 2009, there was a speech given on the House floor by Ron Paul on who was created Hamas, who has created Hamas, and who funds Hamas.
And this problem goes back way before Hamas.
Yes.
So it's just totally ridiculous. And who's the one that's attacking everybody? Bombs this one, bombs that one, bombs the other one, and says, "Oh, we're defending ourselves." The problem is our
Who's the one that's been firing bombs into Syria ever since 2015 and 16? And why did Tulsi Gabbard herself go and meet with Bashar al-Assad to get to the bottom of it?
Mm-hmm.
And people don't understand, and they wanted to paint her as some kind of Assad agent because she was a member of Congress and she wanted to go see things firsthand. And
Exactly.
she's also she was also a veteran of this country. All this stuff with Israel is making more people turn nationalistic because they're fed up with our money being sent over there while we get nothing.
Now
we get nothing.
So you have all these people of Congress, you read their names, and what? They're meeting with a lobbyist for Israel. We've seen them how many times they take trips over to Israel. They sit and talk with Netanyahu, but that's all fine. But if Tulsi Gabbard or anybody else visits Syria or any other place, or even if you went over to Iran to talk with them, they'd have a fit. But it's okay to sit there with Netanyahu. And
they made a shitting connection because Jill Stein was in a meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin, and they also made a shitting fit over Tulsi Gabbard going over to meet with Bashar al-Assad. Isn't that what a nation's leader is supposed to do, is go and meet with these leaders of these countries?
Yes, that's what they're supposed to do. It's here you have AIPACs dictating who enemies are supposed to be. But meanwhile, the big problem is the Israeli regime. That entity is the problem. Not wanting to get along with their neighbors, wanting to take over the whole region with the Greater Israel Plan.
Exactly. And even, I was reading back here a few months ago. This is also hurting migrant workers that work in that region, especially in countries like Syria, Lebanon, Jordan, and Egypt. And especially in Syria and Lebanon, where the Philippine government had to pull all overseas Filipino workers out because of this.
Mm-hmm.
So this has hurt many national economies that rely on these remittances to lift their economies. AIPAC has long lobbied for more hawkish measures against Iran, but its talking points that it's now using the October 7th attacks and the current war as a pretext to push for greater U.S. involvement against the Islamic Republic. Other than military funding for Israel, the main pieces of legislation AIPAC is supporting both entail stronger actions to cut Iran off from the global economy, which it pushes them into the arms of Russia and China. Those are the Iranian Sanctions Enforcement Act and the SHIP Act, which would crack down on foreign ports and refineries that process petroleum exported from Iran in violation of existing U.S. sanctions. The SHIP Act passed the House in early November. AIPAC's hopes to see Iran's economy crippled through sanctions as a means of drying up Iran's support for Hezbollah, which they have no proof that Iran supported Hezbollah or Hamas. There is no proof of that.
Right.
Which they seem to think they will give Israel the upper hand in a conflict that many see as imminent. That's not giving them the upper hand. That's actually putting their national security even at further risk. That's putting our national security at risk. Even Scott Ritter and that dude MacArthur said
McGregor.
that. McGregor. AIPAC's push for these actions come as the war in Gaza threatens to escalate into a regional war. Recently, Israel has exchanged rocket fire with the Shiite political party Hezbollah along its northern border with Lebanon, where the IDF reports it assassinated a key Hamas target. If Hezbollah and Israel go directly to war, it will pull other Arab nations and put pressure on the U.S. to back its closest ally in the region, which I don't see them as an ally. I see them more or less as what's the term I'm looking for? Collateral?
Yeah.
It puts us more at risk
Mm-hmm.
of even nuclear war, which should be prevented. The documents further emphasize U.S. involvement by highlighting the 3 Army troops killed in January in a drone strike on a base in Jordan, which officials have linked to Iran. Yeah, which I doubt they have proof that Iran did that, which there doesn't seem to be any evidence reciting their claims. There is a repeated tactic we've seen where there's more attention on Israel's military actions against Palestinians and the occupation. The government pivots to fears about Iran, said Duss. At the beginning of the war, there was immediate speculation that Iran and China gave Hamas directives to carry out the October 7th attacks, though those claims were still unfounded. As public perception shifts against Israel, potentially pulling U.S. policy with it, AIPAC appears poised to drum up more threats about Iran's role in the war, which they have not presented any sort of evidentiary support.
They haven't. And the proof is that basically Iran is independent. It's that these groups are independent themselves. That these are resistance groups resisting acts that are done to them by Israel. You know, Israel has been bombing into Lebanon, in his Hezbollah territory, for a while now.
And what they fail to realize, these attacks are unprovoked. Syria is not provoking Israel. Lebanon is not provoking Israel. Jordan is not provoking them. Iraq has not provoked them. These are unjustifiable attacks against neighboring countries just because.
They want to start something is what they want to do, or then claim they're the victim.
Yeah, they'll play foul and cry like a little bitch.
Exactly. That's what they do all the time. And as we see, they're having a fit because people don't like what they're doing, what they've been doing in the West Bank, what they've been doing in Gaza. And they somehow, they're fine with all that. Thinking it's, people should just stand with them as they terrorize and ethnically cleanse an area. And people are just supposed to be fine with that. As we know with the Greater Israel Plan, they are trying to wipe out Palestine, and they'll continue on with Jordan and Lebanon and
Go all the way between
Syria.
the Tigris and Euphrates River. Like what Joe Logan just said, correct, is Iran is not our enemy. We are our own enemy by not fighting back. We are completely complicit. Yes, we are complicit in the illegal invasion in Iraq, Libya, Syria, Yemen. What other countries have we hit over there?
Right, Afghanistan. So who are the terrorists? Who are the real terrorists when you think about it? Who's terrorizing the world? But they don't see it that way.
That's because they want to lie. It's called manufactured consent.
Mm-hmm. To try to have us in fear. Oh, we've got to fear these people. We've got to fear, this other group. There's always somebody, we have to fear. The media will try to make Americans scared. Oh, Andy Candy's here. Hey, friends, finally caught you.
Oh, that Rolling Stone article that you sent there about it's behind a paywall where I have to log in.
Oh.
I don't know if you have an account.
Uh-oh. The Rolling Stone, they have a thing up and they say that it's not a paywall? I don't know. Let me see.
Okay, now I got it up.
Oh, you got it up? Okay.
No, it says I have to subscribe. It's behind a paywall. No wonder a lot of people read so much misinformation.
Well, let me see something. Here's Rolling Stone. Let me see something. As I go down, let me see if it. I guess it is a paywall.
But we already know what they're up to.
Huh. Right. Or do you want to go on to Twitter and see what they're talking about?
Now let's scope out the tweeter. I'm not seeing it. I need to type in AIPAC and see what's there.
Yeah, that's been trending all day. People have been talking about
yeah,
AIPAC.
like all of this stuff that's coming out regarding all of this. And AIPAC literally does threaten democracy.
Definitely.
Like it threatens and undermines our fabric of democracy. Until we get AIPAC out of our political process, we are going to continue to see more of it. Yeah, we already know what's going on in the Middle East. And Hakeem Jeffries is now being pushed to become a next Speaker of the House.
Oh yeah, because he gets a lot of money from AIPAC. He's their little soldier.
I just found something right here on Twitter that I just found very, very interesting.
Okay, why don't you put it up in the room here?
And it says right here on this tweet, Israel owns America and wants the world to know. AIPAC will spend at least $100 million to remove anyone from U.S. Congress who is a critic of Israel or U.S. funding. And right here, they say 100% of AIPAC endorsed Democrats on the ballot tonight advance to the general election. Being pro-Israel is good policy and good politics. AIPAC is proud to support strong pro-Israel Democrats, including leaders across the Black, Hispanic, AAPI, and Progressive caucuses. What really confuses me on that last bit right there, the Black, Hispanic, AAPI, those three, what really confuses me is how any Black politician can support this and all that. And they are brag openly. Hang on, I found another tweet right here on what. Ooh, I just found something else here. It's a free article from The Guardian.
Oh, good.
And it's from like the 11th. We're going to go a little bit on a reedy. And this here is from The Guardian, and it says, from California, pro-Israel groups spent millions in tight race for Southern California House seat and lost. The AIPAC, the most powerful pro-Israeli lobby group in the U.S., poured more than $4.5 million into an Orange County congressional race in hopes of keeping Dave Min from advancing to the November election. But on Tuesday, the California state senator did exactly that, outpacing his Democratic competitor Joanna Weiss to come in second in the primary for the seat of Congresswoman Katie Porter. This seat is crucial to Democrats hoping to wrest control on the House of Representatives from Republicans. Come November, Min will face off with Republican Scott Baugh to represent the Southern California district in the House. But AIPAC's massive spending in Orange County has perplexed analysts and Min himself. Why the hell did you come in against me? We're trying to understand why, Min said in an interview with Semaphore. Maybe AIPAC wants a rubber stamp. I'm not going to be a rubber stamp, he said. AIPAC spent millions of dollars against progressive candidates who have been critical of Israel this year and in recent election cycles. But the conflict in the Middle East was not a major issue in the primary race. Min's position regarding Israel aren't particularly radical. He has criticized the country's move to expand settlements in the West Bank and blamed the Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu for security failures around the October 7th attacks. But we already know where that's going.
Yeah.
And here's another tweet that I've got right here.
Okay.
This is true from Joe Logan. Yeah, I'd say America's Israel's bitch. Don't do internet money. Banks play like they're against it, but they're backing it because they want everyone to get chipped and have no cash flow. That's why they're pushing for the central bank digital currency. And here is something right here that I found as well. Once again, AIPAC not letting the truth get in the way of a good lie. They did not, in fact, win all of their primaries despite dumping millions of dollars in racist tactics trying to do so. And here is something else right here from AIPAC. Being pro-Israel is good policy and good politics. And it goes down like a whole breakdown of this. Like, how the hell are you going to sit there and call yourself U.S. progressives if you're going to back a genocidal occupier?
Right. How do you say you're a human? Just a thinking, feeling human if you're going to back genocide? I mean, that is ridiculous, pushing people to back genocide.
And how are you going to call yourself a member of an equality caucus if you're not talking about equality for Palestinians?
Exactly.
Maybe I need to do a series on a dump the corruption thing on all and do a whole series on, hang on, 46, 60, 75 members of Congress right there, or all of them.
Mm-hmm.
But how the hell can you sit there and call yourself an equality caucus when you're not talking about the equality of the Palestinians who are dying in vain?
Okay, I'm going to take us over to Facebook a minute. I'm going to show you Medea Benjamin.
Yeah, my throat's kind of wore out for the night.
Okay, let me just go over and bring up Medea. Okay, let me start this.
That there is no more army that's more moral in the world than the Israeli army.
Is that what you're lobbying for? I'm just asking you a question as a public space. Are you here for more money for Israel?
Aren't you a public servant, sir?
No, he's not a public servant. He's an AIPAC. He buys Congress.
So you're killing my people with the money that AIPAC is giving us.
And destroying our democracy by spending $100 million to get rid of people who are concerned about human rights.
Can you just stop going after
You are destroying our country. You are destroying the people of Palestine. You are a cancer on this system, and you are making us less safe. Your allegiance is to Israel, not the United States, and shame on you for what you are doing.
Shame for having no humanity. That you don't care about over 30,000 people who have been slaughtered of my people. How dare you?
I was taught as a Jew that we're not supposed to allow what happened to us to happen ever again to anyone. You hear about
No, as long as no one's impeding you, they are standing in my way. They're not letting me go through.
You are walking, sir. We're not impeding your way. We're just calling you to get some answers because we have that right.
I'm the daughter of a Holocaust survivor.
you believe in collective
Punishment?
Yes.
I believe that there is no army that's more moral in the world than the Israeli army.
Yeah, moral army, my fucking ass.
Exactly.
That army is not. How the hell can you call any military, for that matter, a moral army?
I don't know. And him walking around saying Israel, that we've witnessed what they're doing. And you have the soldiers bragging about it and taking pictures, doing videos. How is that moral?
Andy, to answer your questions, they do take money from AIPAC and the DMFI. A lot of members, you can go over to Joe Firestone Empowering Democracy's YouTube channel. Many of the Congressional Progressive Caucus members have taken money from AIPAC, the DMFI, which in the case of Chantel Brown, she took a copious amount from the DMFI to oust Nina Turner's chances of winning the primary in Ohio on their first go round, because Nina Turner was vehemently in support of the Palestinian rights. She was against Israel, which any decent human being should be for Palestinian rights. And there is a Twitter page here that I just found very interesting. And it's even followed, and I just followed it. I'm going to share it with y'all. And this is really interesting.
Okay.
That I have just found this. And it's called Track AIPAC, or AIPAC Tracker. And they track AIPAC's lobbying and anti-democratic influence on the U.S. right there. They have a link tree which goes to their social articles. And they have like episode 1, the covert war, and call for a ceasefire on their link tree. Which I think I'm going to watch this later on, the Lobby USA. So I kind of really want to watch this later on. This looks like it would be something really good to watch.
Yeah.
And they have a poll up at the top of their page from just 3 days ago saying, should foreign entities be permitted to engage in lobbying activities within our government, which everybody with a sensible mindset should say no, that they should not. And 9 minutes ago, this was shared. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu spoke on Tuesday by video link to AIPAC, where they applaud Netanyahu's genocide. And Ilhan Omar is also against the genocide as well. And this here's something else that's funny. AIPAC has endorsed 109 Republican insurrectionists, which we know that that was dumb. And there's also that article right there that was behind the paywall that I could not get to. And right here, the official AIPAC talking points right here. This is Israel blocking the delivery of, and it shows the whole list right there, and all that, and of all the lies that's being told.
Yeah, that was in the article we read tonight. But you'll notice that when you start getting in conversations with people, they'll start pulling out stuff because the ones that back AIPAC, they got their talking points. And Joe Logan asked, this guy talking, what's his name again? I need to friend request him. That's Gregory Mallard.
Don't say, I'll send you a friend request, buddy. I'm going over there right now, and I'll get you a friend request sent over. I got to go. I got to send my coon hounds after you. You got to send my coon hounds. Here you go, buddy.
And the sad thing is we're going to start hearing, which we've already heard them saying their lies to different people in Congress, but during the election season, they're going to be spouting all the AIPAC lies.
Ooh. Look at here. Hold on, my friends. Let's do a little dump the corruption, shall we?
Okay.
Let's do a little bit of dump the corruption. See right here?
Hakeem Jeffries, yes.
The House Minority Leader, Hakeem Jeffries. Look at who his top contributor is in 2023 and 2024. Look right there.
Okay.
He took a grand total of $323,050 from pro-Israel groups, AIPAC in particular.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all over this, and it's even on Open Secrets.
Yeah.
Like,
and they don't like it if you say it's all about the money, that they represent the money, no matter who it is, no matter where it comes
that's
from.
because they equate Jewish people with money.
Right.
That's what they do in an anti-Jewish rhetoric,
Right.
which is fucked up, by the way, very fucked up.
Because we've seen that with the money when you talk about the healthcare system, the prison system, everywhere else. Whoever the corporate donors are, that's who they represent.
Oh, hell no. I ain't eating no damn coon. I'm country as hell, but I ain't eating no damn something that looks like a damn bandit. I've eaten some wild shit in my day, like deer meat, squirrel, rabbit. Ain't eaten no coon yet, but I have eaten goat before, and it's really good. But yeah, the AIPAC tracker. I'm gonna take and share this Twitter link for the AIPAC tracker, which we should be tracking all of their funds, like especially here in the state of Georgia, where in 2022 elections, the top two recipients of money from the pro-Israel groups were Democrat of New York State, Chuck the Schmuck Schumer,
Yep.
and John Ossoff from here in Georgia. No, Raphael Warnock, which disappoints me there because he's a pastor at the same church that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. himself preached at. And that right there is a slap in the face to Dr. King's legacy for him to side with the oppressor.
Mm-hmm.
So he's pretty much turned into another white neoliberal type.
Yeah, so Netanyahu and some other folks are annoyed at Chuck Schumer. They're annoyed at him because of what he told Netanyahu. Oh, well, basically told the Israeli people that there needs to be Israeli elections. You know, they need to get rid of the group that's in there right now. And Biden went along with him. But you have others that are saying, how dare we? You know, then Netanyahu saying, oh, you know, that they're an independent country, they're sovereign. And yeah, but you're asking for all the money and all the weaponry. But you're independent and you're sovereign. Let Israel decide what it wants to do. It has a right to decide its future.
Have you seen the videos floating around all on TikTok of the younger Israeli populations?
Yes.
Have you seen how they are even calling for elections and get rid of Netanyahu?
Yes, because
I've even seen, even on TikTok, where a lot of Israelis, like the younger ones, like the millennials, that are of European descent, mind you, have left the country and moved back to where their family migrated from.
Mm-hmm.
So there's now a great migration going on where they no longer feel comfortable living on stolen land, no more than I feel comfortable living on stolen land.
Well, this right wing, that's the big issue. That
Like
was the one.
Zionism, I was watching a Jewish rabbi, and he said that the Zionism is not true Judaism, and it's a right-wing ideology.
It is.
And he says
Right.
that Zionism is nothing more than a perversion of Judaism itself, because the true Jewish populations are not like this. And he even read out quotes and and stuff from the Torah, where even the Torah itself said that there is no holy land. No one was promised any set section of land on this earth. And the Torah even says there are bits of the Torah that do correlate with even parts of the Bible, even in terms of the 10 Commandments, where, and this is what this Jewish rabbi said, and then I went and looked at what he said, and what he said is true.
Yeah.
He also stated that there needs to be a revolution within the Jewish community to get rid of to chase these Zionists out of their circles and tell them that they do not speak for the Jewish men and women around the world.
No, they don't.
And he also went as far as saying, it, in accordance to the Torah, that what the Torah says, thou shalt not commit murder, just like the Holy Bible says in the Old Testament.
Well, that's basically the Torah is like the Old Testament.
And he also stated, even the Torah says you have to love thy neighbor as you love thyself. And also the Torah states that when a foreigner is amongst you, you treat them as if they're your own. So you have to treat the foreigner as if they're your own people, with kindness, love, and compassion and empathy. Not belittle them, want to put their life at risk. I don't remember what this Jewish rabbi's name was, but I really enjoyed hearing him speak.
I enjoy listening to, the different rabbis speak as well. And the Zionism was a political movement that was put together by atheists. Mm-hmm. It's like the Jewish people were being used.
It was put together by, I think,
Theodore Herzl.
Theodore Herzl and Henry Balfour.
With Israel, yeah, because Balfour just wanted to. He didn't like the Jewish people, so he just wanted to get rid of them. He didn't care where. But it was a good region. They figured that area. And
the thing is, though, about this, I would be fighting for the same fight. And if this was a Jewish population dealing with the same thing, I would be fighting for their rights and for their dignity as well.
Exactly. Doesn't this...
Not only will I fight, I may be an atheist. I don't agree with what what religion says, but I will fight for your right to practice whatever your religion is, regardless.
Right.
Because as I'm gonna go ahead and say it, as a libertarian, which I do hold libertarian views, I am a libertarian leftist. I believe that it is their constitutional right to practice whatever religion they want. And there's also a freedom from religion, which if the Jewish populations were under this same stuff, just like they were in World War II, I would be there fighting for them, just like I would fight for the Palestinians.
Exactly. And that's what I
See,
was going to
somebody
say
like
before.
me should truly be in that equality caucus, educating them on this, that it is not a Jewish or Islamic issue. It is a Zionist issue that has a stranglehold over our political structure.
Yeah, it's a Nazism type of thing.
Yes. And what Joe Logan here says is true. The government are taking money to let us be murdered. The Bible has truth, but it's also control mechanism. That's true as well, which is why, I'll admit, prior to like my discovery of George Carlin, I was like many others who are devout atheists and agnostics. We were under the guise and the control and like what Joel Logan just said, under that mindset.
Yeah.
And then you step out of it. Excuse me for one moment as I go use the restroom.
Yeah, and Greg you had that whole end time stuff, John Hagee and evangelism.
Oh yeah, but be right back. I have to use the restroom.
Okay. Yeah, I was brought up under Catholicism. And at that time, it was more social justice. It wasn't, what it's turned into. It seems like Zionism has crept into every belief system. Let me just see some of the comments here. Yep, Andy says, didn't the Abrahamic God kill and murder? Oh yeah, this is what it gets to be with everybody following this, the Abrahamic belief systems, because they're all about when you go back to the Abrahamic faith, it's always about wars and killing and God. Supposedly, it says that God created, but then again, he's is commanding this one to kill that one and all of that. It's it makes no sense because, and this is where that humans wrote a lot of the stuff, wrote different generations picked up and started writing different alleged battles and all, and God choosing this one over that one. It was just to keep the masses in control, whatever was going on in that time period. See, Andy says here, those young people don't want to be forced into conscription because they'll never be able to live in peace in that area. That's very true. And extreme rabbis is the problem. It's just the whole brainwashed population over there. That's what I said. It's a crazy world. Oh, Andy, what's been trending all day? Sorry, got here late. AIPAC was trending all day because of the meeting with Congress and AIPAC, well, different members of Congress, and given their talking points. The talking points of how to try to change the narrative, to try to somehow tell us that we didn't read anything that happened since, October 7th. I mean, it's just so ridiculous. People know what they see, and we know it was provoked. We know that because those that were following events before
75 years of provocation.
Exactly.
But something else I thought about going along with what I was saying a little earlier, with this Jewish rabbi, he was in an interview with a Muslim woman, and the Quran also goes along with the same teachings of love thy neighbor, thou shalt not commit murder, and being inviting and welcoming and loving toward your neighbors, and welcoming the foreigner in as if they are your own.
Yes.
So you see a lot of these religions and the books like the Bible, the Quran, and the Torah, even the Hindu.
Well, the one is the you figure it, the Abrahamic, you've got the same umbrella, the same God. It's just, when it comes to Jesus, you have the Islam believes that, he was a prophet, whereas obviously the Jewish system says it doesn't follow along with what the Torah says. So Jesus was a radical.
I just found an article from The Intercept here, and it's talking about Representative Summer Lee, and I'm going to pull this here up. And this is actually a good article. I found that on AIPAC Tracker, where she was where it's discussing facing AIPAC onslaught. Rep. Summer Lee announced record small donor fundraising haul. AIPAC, which tried to recruit challenges to the squad member, dropped $5 million on her last race, expecting an onslaught of spending from pro-Israel groups. Democratic Pennsylvania Rep. Summer Lee's campaign announced Thursday it had, this is like from January, where she raised a lot of 90% of contributions in the increments less than $250 to her campaign, which I think she survived her campaign. Like, I think a lot of people have had enough of this to where they're no longer supporting the narratives.
But because, people are seeing with their own eyes things. And I mean, unless you're a diehard partisan, you'll lie for your partisan party. But if you're just an honest person, you're not going to stand with the bullshit.
Exactly. But that AIPAC Tracker is a really good page to go and look at stuff. I think you follow that page.
Yeah.
But we'll see the FEC filings after the election and all that. And they want to say that they're trying to protect democracy and all that around the world, but they're not about democracy and all that.
Right. They destroy countries. And I mean, if I was in a different country and the U.S. government was saying it wanted to bring democracy to the country I lived in, I'd be hell no. You don't want, you damn well know it's a bunch of bombing and destroying whatever place you were living in. That's their bringing democracy.
You know that dude Mike Gallagher that did the TikTok, built the guy that supported that?
Yeah.
Well, you're about to see why. And this is also goes along with dump the corruption as well. And look at who his top contributor in his last election was and the sum of money he got from them at 44,300.
Whoa.
That's a lot. That's still a lot of money. And that's a Republican representative. Yes. That one Republican of Wisconsin, and he took 44,300 as a top contributor from AIPAC. And this goes
That-
along with dumping the corruption.
Definite. And you have the situation in Palestine because of these people taking AIPAC and whoever else Israeli lobby money. I mean, this is terrible.
It's very terrible how foreign entities are spending so much money to do all this. This is actually undermining our democracy.
Oh, definitely.
Let's see who my U.S. senator who's up for re-election in 26. Let's see what his top contributors were. During his whole, let's look and see what his top contributors. And he is on the federal congressional. This is his, this here is as of between 2019 and 2024. And this is like his top contributors.
Okay. Like Andy says, what democracy? This is inverted totalitarianism. Exactly.
You see there from J Street, which is another pro-Israel PAC.
Yep.
This here dates all the way from when he initially ran for U.S. Senate in 2020 election against, I think it was Kelly Loeffler. I could be wrong, or it could have been David Perdue. $183,975 from pro-Israel groups alone. This is just insanity. How a foreign entity can just spend so much money on our elections and get away with it.
I know. And could you imagine if another country was doing it? You don't see that. And
you don't see foreign countries, and you don't see in other countries, you don't see foreign entities donating these large sums of money to campaigns at all.
No, you don't.
And we're not going to be able to dump these corrupt politicians by continuing to work within the two-party system.
No. Because, you know, you have the lobbyists, the Jewish lobbyists, Israeli lobbyists, giving to both parties. So no matter who you vote for, in the two-party system, they're collecting money from pro-Israeli lobbyists. And that's what we were saying with wanting health care for everyone, wanting Medicare for all. But you see, when you have candidates taken from the healthcare industry, taken from the corporations, and then they try to claim, oh, we can't do it right now.
They kick the can down the road, and it just continues to get worse, spirals even further out of control. It's just insanity.
Yep, there's not going to be any change unless we get away from the system we already have.
And it's not going to happen until we work outside the two-party system.
Exactly. And Joe Logan always says to tear it all down, burn it all down.
At this point, I think that's the only option, is to burn down the current system and rebuild and start new.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only option I think we have left on the table.
Right, because the system is just so corrupt.
Yep.
And that's why we're not represented.
We have no representation.
Because it's all about the big money. It's all about the corporations.
And it's all about sending foreign aid to other countries.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how the heck can we continue sending foreign aid to other countries, yet we can't even take care of our own people? We can't rebuild our infrastructure. The people of Flint soon will not have water, clean drinking water for 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw a report where there are 6,500 other municipalities across the country that have the same quality drinking water, if not worse than Flint. One being Denmark, South Carolina, which has even worse quality drinking water than Flint.
And all these things could be fixed. The problems could be fixed. It's a choice. It's a choice not to.
Because that makes us look like a third, and we're like Trump when he was running in 2016. He said he's flown all over the world. He's flown to Dubai. He's flown to Saudi Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, even countries in Europe where their airports are immaculate. And then once he gets back into like LaGuardia, it's like stepping into a third world country.
Yes. A shithole country. And it doesn't
Like
have to be.
we cannot even take, like, the thing that I don't understand is how can we take care of others if we cannot take care of ourselves first? Right. That's not selfish for me to say. It's not selfish for me to say at all.
Right, because we're supposed to be taking care of our own. The world would be happy if we did that and stopped dropping bombs on them. I mean, people shouldn't have to fear U.S. interference, U.S. bombing. You know, enough is enough.
We've had enough. Why do you think we're looking at third-party options?
Right. We've had enough. The world's had enough of us. It's worry about the USA. Stop this bombing campaign. What, for stockholders of the different war manufacturing companies and whatever different stocks to raise money for different stockholders. It's like, start caring about us instead of Wall Street.
Like what like what Joe Logan is saying, general strike.
Yep.
Where we collapse the system within the three groups of people that can do it are, well, the two main groups in particular are the truck drivers and the railroad workers, and those who work at airports and port workers. Anybody that deals with the logistics of this country can bring this. If truck drivers chose to shut down and had a 1-week general strike in this country will be brought to its knees within 48 hours. There would be total system collapse. Joe, create a second account. But yeah, it's just insanity at this point. To continue supporting all this stuff and see people in our own community being supportive of it.
Plus, they'll say with the economy, oh, the economy's doing great by looking at how Wall Street's doing, how stocks are doing. Wait, no, that doesn't determine how the country's doing. It doesn't determine how the economy is. Most people don't even pay attention to what's going on with Wall Street. But them judging everything by stockholders, that's wrong.
They need to quit judging how the economy works by how the stock market works.
Right, it's ridiculous. You could just drive around and see how the average person is doing. And that's where we come back to term limits, because you should be having a regular flow of people coming in that are your average person that knows what's going on.
Yeah, instead of having a bunch of geriatrics that continue holding on to power for, like Joe Biden, he should have been in political retirement 20 years ago.
I know. It's because of the corporations. It has to do with the stock markets and all that. The different stocks. And that's where he was, what was he? He was
I don't know, Andy. We're starting to see, after what happened to Aaron Bushnell, we're seeing a record number of people leaving the military. We're starting to see a lot of soldiers take the moral high road and leave. And if the U.S. does not have any soldiers to send out, and they're in the vast overwhelming majority of the U.S. population is not going to go off and fight in a world war. That's just not going to happen.
Well, the numbers have been low with recruitment. That's what the Army was saying. The numbers are low, and they were offering, or they're going to offer, to migrants that if you want U.S. citizenship, or people that are illegal immigrants, if you want citizenship, you can get citizenship by fighting in, for the Army, join the military. So they're looking at other avenues to try to get people to join.
Yeah, now they have also discovered that trying to recruit people in schools is no longer effective because Gen Z is no longer falling for it.
No.
Like, a lot of people are just fed up with it. But I don't think I have anything else to add tonight. Do you?
No. Do you want to go through some of the comments?
I answered Andy Candy already, and Joe Logan said that truckers already tried that in Canada, and the government froze their bank accounts. Wow. They're even taking people up to 45 years old now.
Wow.
Watch the movie Stop Loss. Yeah, we will definitely have to look into that.
Okay, Steve says, I think it's in the Constitution that the military cannot do that. Well, we'll see how somehow something will be finagled. I know they're looking for.
Andy, I have been seeing that all over Twitter. Yeah, it's happening all over Twitter and TikTok if you're on that platform.
Well, now too, we've seen where work is concerned too, because at first they were, always looking to employ people that came out of prison to work in those different like Tyson farms and stuff like that, the slaughterhouses. Now they're advertising for migrants,
Undocumented workers.
Yeah, and offering was it like $16.50 an hour or something like that, and benefits, child care, voluntary, English language classes, and paid vacation, all kinds of benefits because they don't have people to work in the slaughterhouses. That's a nasty job.
I've been in one of those slaughterhouses. Cumming at the Tyson facility in Cumming, Georgia.
Really?
Mm-hmm. I've even been to a place in South Georgia where they take and make the chicken feed from corn, soybean meal, and other grains.
Because now they're having this, they're asking people to boycott Tyson.
Yep, I've been in their cold storage facility and processing facility in North Georgia.
Okay.
And it's cold in there. Even during the summertime, you have to take a jacket in that cold storage plant with you.
Mm.
And you have two sides to that facility where there's a cold storage side and a fresh storage side, which is not as, it's like a refrigerated type deal, but the chicken is ready to pretty much put on the grill or in the deep fryer. Then you put it in a refrigerated van and transport it to another distribution center. And anywho, I don't think I have anything else to add tonight.
No. What Andy just said. Now, Greg, I just recently got on Facebook. I never have time much. Okay.
That's understandable.
Yeah. Yeah, well, thank everybody for being here tonight.
Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, and go over to Around the World with D and Friends on YouTube. Give them a follow. This has been a joint in the last few shows. This is a joint effort between Around the World with D and Friends and Revolution Evolution, because D here's in the clink. But
All right.
don't forget to turn on those post notifications and drop D something on Cash App, leave stars on Facebook so she can enjoy some really nice Jerusalem blend in the morning to cheer her up from all this stress.
Yes, from the I get my coffee from the Palestinian Coffee Company, and they contribute to. They send donations to Palestine.
Don't forget to support the Palestinian-owned businesses, Palestinian mutual aid support networks. And also, if you're on Facebook, go over and join Revolution Evolution on Facebook. I have a big group on there that you can drop any sort of resources like that. I can start a thread where we do something like that for the Palestinian people. And thank y'all for coming out.
Well, one more thing. I just want to say Madeline Hoffman, she gets her coffee and she gets products from Cafea Masks. They have a lard olive oil plus coffee and coffee cups and all kinds of products they have. And that's in the West Bank. So you're contributing to Palestine. So and also share information about Palestine. But people say, what can I do? I don't have any money. Well, you can just share that information out there. And Greg, Joe Logan has something else he said here.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. And I've worked with cattle before. Anywho, have a good night, everyone.
Yes, good night, everybody, and we'll see you tomorrow night. Thank you so much. And thank you so much, Greg.
You're welcome. Have a great night, everyone.
Good night.